Class for economics. Now we are doing third chapter, liberalization, privatization and globalization and appraisal. So first of all, the question is that why there is a need of economic reforms in 1991. So because first point is poor performance of public sector. Public sector was given a very high responsibility with a huge investment for the economic development, but that was not fulfilled by public sector. Many public sector have to shut down by that time. Very huge losses incurred by the public sector, so very poor performance of the public sector as it was expected when it was made to. Now the next point is deficit in the balance of payment. This was the main reason. You know that before this economic policy, India was not having enough foreign exchange to pay off the payment for fortnight. So that is why there is a deficit in balance of payment. What is balance of payment? Balance of payment is basically difference between the inflow and outflow of foreign exchange. So that is the balance of payment. So if you are having deficit, that means you have more outflow of foreign exchange rather than inflow of foreign exchange. For example, I'm taking a very little example that you are in your country there is an outflow of $5,000 and inflow of only $2,000. So there is a $3,000 that indicates deficit in balance of payment. So before 1990 there was a deficit in balance of payment. Due to that, government has to make a new economic policy in 1991 to increase the foreign exchange reserve, because India is not an independent country. For many goods we are to depend on the other countries, like for capital goods, for import of capital goods, import of oil and import of electronic equipment and many more things. So for just balancing this balance of payment, there can be surplus in balance of payment. So there was India wanted that by that time that there must be surplus in balance of payment, but it was not. There was a deficit in balance of payment by that time, and in spite of doing various effort for the protection of domestic industry, the negative impact came further. That is, domestic companies are not able to make the product as per the international standard before 1990. So this was the main reason, the deficit in balance of payment. The goods of Indian companies were not demanded by the rest of the world. That is why, and also there was a slow growth of export due to bad quality, you can say, or low quality as per the international standard, and the high price of Indian goods. By that time India was not able to produce the goods at cheaper rate, as you see China. So that is why China and other countries. So that is why Indian product was not in demand that much. So we were not able to earn. Indians were not able to earn much required foreign reserve from rest of the world. Now inflationary pressure. Inflationary pressure means continuously rise in price. When all the goods and prices of all the goods and services continuously to rise, that is inflationary pressure. That was in the economy in the India from the consistently many years. Due to increase in money supply, because government always preferred to take money from RBI, so there is a deficit financing also, that just increase the money supply and increase the price of goods and services. Fall in foreign exchange reserve. Again, main thing that there is a fall in foreign exchange reserve. India were not able to pay the payment for fortnight even. So that is why basically Indian government has to take more loan from the World Bank and other international lenders to pay off its debt or pay off its interest. Foreign exchange reserve was not earned by producing goods as per the quality of international standard by the time. Now high burden of debts. Definitely because India were not able to pay off the debt, so they had to take the loan from the rest of the world, and the burden has been increasing by day, because India was not able to pay off the debt they have taken from the rest of the world. So that is why there is a high burden of debts increasing on India, and there is a severe need of new economic policy in 1991 to balance all that and to solve all these problems. Inefficient management. There is a financial crisis definitely there, so that indicates that there is an inefficient management. Some things fail. When something is not working, that means the reason behind is inefficient management. Definitely the government was not able to generate sufficient revenue out of its taxation or other activities. Government company, public sector enterprises, they were not that much profitable by that time, and government has to spend more because the economy was not also flourishing. People were not getting the benefits, so government had to spend more for the development and had to just run many programs for the welfare of the people. Now foreign exchange which had been borrowed from other countries, now the payment had to be due by that time, and India had to use this particular amount for paying that debt rather for the development of the economy. So these were all the reason why 1991 new economic policy was introduced. Fine. Now next thing is, crisis of 1991 forced India for financial help from IMF and World Bank. This made a huge change in the economic development of the country or industrial development of the country. To manage all these economic crises of before 1991, what Indian government did, that they approached the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So that now this is the name of World Bank by that time. Now that is properly known as World Bank, and India moved to the World Bank or IMF by that time and received that amount is even $7 billion as loan from that, and by signing new policies and promising that new policy will be introduced in India after 1990. That will be in the main part of economic policy in 1991. So that was forced by these institutions. What was the policy? What they wanted by that time? World Bank and IMF, they want removing restriction on the private sector, then reducing the role of government in many areas. So interference will be. They want that interference would be less in all the other areas, and removing trade restriction. You know that trade licensing, the licensing for expansion, many things were there after industrial policy 1956. So all these were to be removed. That was demanded by the IMF and World Bank by that time, and that's why they just gave such a big loan. Now India agreed to all these conditions of World Bank and IMF and announced new economic policy in 1991 by that time. New economic policy that has been introduced in July 1991 consisted of a large range of activities, changes in industrial policy, and that was to create more competitive environment for the private sector to grow and to produce, and removing lots of barrier. The new economic policy can be classified into two forms: stabilization measure and structural reform measure. That question is particularly can be asked in the paper. So stabilization, what you have to stabilize? You have to stabilize the price, one, and then the balance of payment, that has to be and proper maintenance of foreign exchange reserve with you. So that is a stabilization measures. And what is structural reform measure? That is improving the efficiency of the economy and increasing the international competence for removing the rigidity in various segment of the Indian economy. So that is competence means they just want that the product that has been produced in India, that will be of the international standard. So that has been demanded by the rest of the world, and for more foreign exchange can be reserved out of that, and India will become self-reliant also in this way. So the efficiency of the economy, improving the efficiency of the economy means all the entrepreneurs that were in India, they were able to increase the revenue, increase the sale, expand their business, so that more employment opportunities would be there. So this is the efficiency of the economy indicating, and many more services, the efficiency of those like all aids to trade, like transport, communication, IT sector, everything is to be developed. So that is the efficiency, increase in the efficiency of economy. And what is increasing international competence? International competence means making product or services as per the international standards, so that they will be always in demand by rest of the world, and foreign exchange reserve can be earned, and India will become independent in that way. Now main policy of new economic policy, that is liberalization, privatization, globalization. You are learning all these things from the 10th standard or from 9th. So all these three are the main key points of the new economic policy in 1991. So now first of all is the liberalization. What is to be liberalized? Means freedom is given, liberalization, some favor is given, restriction is to be put to an end. So liberalization, that is that before 1991 there were lots of restriction on all the private sector. as you have just seen that there is a Schedule C in which private sector enterprises were included, and with lots of restriction regarding license. There was a permit Raj, license Raj by that time. So you have to liberalize. Now the government has to liberalize all these private sectors so that they can grow well. Fine. Under liberalization, there is a basically the main feature was liberalization was to removal of entry and removal of the restriction of the entry and growth on the private sector. That is the main aim of the liberalization. And under this process, what they have done, that is a deregulation and reduction of government control and greater autonomy of private investment, because before 1991 public sector were not doing well, so that is why there is a deregulation and reduction of government control. And even public sector were given lots of money and power also, monopoly also. Even then lots of invention, research that was needed, and it was not done by public sector by that time. So now it's a turn of private sector, so lots of freedom given to private sector and reduce the monopoly and autonomy of government sector in that way. Now the next thing, under this process what happened, liberalization, business is given free hand, businessman, private entrepreneur is given free hand to allow to start their business of whatever they want to start. And there were restriction has to be put to end regarding expansion of the business, so that is done in liberalization. The purpose of liberalization basically was to unlock the economic potential. So it was considered that Indian economy is having a lots of potential that was not used up to the mark. So that is why private entrepreneur is giving you can say a free hand, or you can say encouraging private sector so that they can be more competent up to the multinational level. So now the next thing is much more competition into the economy that has been introduced in this policy, because now that was the protection of domestic companies that has also been withdrawn in this new economic policy. Let the private sector has to grow itself. No protection from the government side, as that was given under India's industrial policy resolution 1956 for increasing the efficiency. Because it has been accepted by the time that competition will increase the competence. Now economic reforms that has been introduced by the government, this question can be asked, what are the economic reform introduced by the government under liberalization? These are the economic reform. They can be asked in the question separately also. Industrial sector reform, financial sector reform, tax reform, foreign exchange reform, and trade and investment public reform. All these reforms we ought to discuss under liberalization. First of all, it is an industrial sector reform. So what is industrial sector reform? Industrial sector basically related to the industry, that is basically related to the production. So that reform has been introduced in July 24, 1991. Very important is this year, you have to learn. So various measures has been taken for industrial reforms. First of all, reduction in the industrial licensing. So new policy has been made and older one has been abolished, that taking license for each and every activity, that has been abolished. It is not so that no license has to be taken from the government. Definitely little bit formalities are also there in 1991 economic policy, but as the huge formalities were prevailed in 1956 industrial policy, that has been removed. So licensing was required only for such industry like liquor, defense equipment, industrial explosive, or some of the industry more which were required licensing. Otherwise licensing has been removed. No licenses, this is the main main feature of industrial policy. No license were required to set up new units, expand the business, or diversify the business. The licensing policy for this has been removed. So this is the main encouragement for the private sector. However, license is required for certain industry that is related to security and strategic consideration. So many industries have been included, but from the point of view of security and strategic consideration. Security means the security of country. Strategic consideration means that may be not good for the health, for the good, that might not be good, or you can say dangerous for the health of the countrymen, like liquor and many other explosives. So these industry need license in 1991 economic policy. Now decrease in the role of public sector. So you see that in 1956 industrial policy resolution, much importance given to the public sector by that time, but now the decrease in the role of public sector as were not up to date. So public sector, the public sector only covers some of the industry, like 3 industry were there only for public sector for the monopoly, like defense, atomic energy, and third one is the railway. And all the other industry which were under the definition of public sector or under the monopoly of public sector, that has been removed or reduced. Now third one is the de-reservation under small scale industries. So this was also the major achievement for this 1991 economic policy or reforms 1991 economic policy. Two major thing is under this de-reservation under small scale industry. First of all, the investment ceiling on plant and machinery has been increased. It is up to 1 crore like MSME Act now. So the investment amount has been increased and it is up to 1 crore. And earlier it was 5 lakh, as you just noticed in 1956 industrial policy. And in many industry, the market price of the goods and services, that has been determined by the market forces, not by the government. So this is the major changes for small scale industry for growth. Now the next thing is monopolies and restrictive trade practices. So MRTP Act, this is the act which used to put on lots of restriction. Now with the introduction of liberalization and expansion scheme, now the large scale company is no need to seek prior approval for expansion, establishment and merger amalgamation. That has been eliminated by that time, and this is the policy which has made industrial sector reform in this way. Now the financial sector reform. Financial sector reform is basically related to commercial banks and other financial intermediaries. So the Reserve Bank of India is there, that has been established in 1935. As you know that Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of India. So the reform introduced under financial sector are change in the role of RBI. RBI earlier worked as a supervisor, that as a regulator. Now that RBI became the facilitator for the bank. So bank needs to grow, so RBI is the facilitator for all the banks, rather to put unnecessary restriction for the growth of bank. Now origin of private bank. RBI is there to regulate all the banks, whether private or nationalized bank. All the banks are under the supervision of RBI in India. If it is a private bank, then don't think that RBI is not having supervision on that. RBI is having supervision for private and public, any private and nationalized bank both. So the policy has been introduced to establish private sector banks, and for that many private banks we are having, like as written also ICICI Bank, that is very important bank in our country and is having a very good status, and government is also supporting this bank, and then HSBC Bank and many more like Axis Bank. So all these are the private banks which are there. Yes Bank is there. So third one is the increase in the limit of foreign investment. This is a major changes in the new industrial policy that has been introduced. Increase in the limit of foreign investment means now the investment can be up to 51% stake. Now that means foreign investment in banks raised to 51%. So that encourage the banks of rest of the world so that they can put more resources, financial resources into the India, and India can earn more foreign exchange reserve. So this also encourage the banks of rest of the world. Rest of the world means all the countries except India. So that is known as rest of the world in economics. So now the limit is 51%. This is a major encouragement for the banks belong to rest of the world, and they started to invest more in India. So foreign institutional investor, merchant bankers, mutual fund, pension fund are also allowed to invest in Indian financial market. Earlier they were not able to invest in any market. So bank has been given permission also to generate resources from India, and certain aspect has been revised, and RBI is there to safeguard the interest of all the account holder and nation also, and banks also. Ease in expansion process. This was the major feature of this industrial policy, this particular financial sector reform, because in 1956 it was very difficult to expand your business. Once you got the license, then it was very difficult to expand your business activities or your product or diversify your product. Now the expansion process become easy in industrial policy. So banks were given freedom to set up their new branches. No more further condition has been put over there. So that was easy in the expansion process in the terms of opening branch in other parts of the country. So this is the financial sector reform that has been introduced for the development of the nation. Now the next is the tax reform. There is a direct and indirect two types of tax. Direct tax is the tax which is imposed of a person and the person cannot shift the burden to another one. And indirect tax, that is a tax which imposed on the person and the burden of paying the tax can be transferred to another person. So that is indirect tax. Examples are that in the case of direct tax, like direct tax is the income tax on individual, on companies, on firm. And indirect tax basically is a goods and service tax is indirect tax, and VAT indirect tax, it is example of indirect tax. Entertainment tax is an indirect tax. Okay? And if you say that wealth tax, that is a direct tax because the burden cannot be shifted to others. So this is the main difference between the direct and indirect tax. Now reduction in the taxes. So earlier in 1956, very high rate of tax imposed on all the industry, especially in private sector. But now moderate tax rate has been introduced for the private sector entrepreneurs. So that is why great relief for these industrial sector and this industries. Reform in indirect tax. Now indirect tax is also reformed that considerable amount of indirect tax has been charged on has been imposed on private sector, so that goods can be reachable or accessible to the all the people of the country. Simplification of process. Now the paying or submitting tax becomes simple process. Earlier it was very complicated, and now the government is putting lots of effort to make it more simpler and simpler. Like nowadays a person can file his income tax return himself online, and the form is there. He has to just fill it up and just pay the amount to the government account. So it was very easy. It is very easy nowadays even. And goods and service tax has been introduced nowadays for improving the improving the payment. You can say improving the payment of indirect tax to the government in that way also. So reforms in indirect tax is going on with the change of time. Now the goods and service tax has been introduced. So by the time 1991, the effort have been started for the reforms in indirect tax. So what was the main effort? That is there is an establishment of common national market for goods and commodities, and considerable amount of indirect tax has been imposed by that time. Now next thing is foreign exchange reforms. Now this is foreign exchange reform that was more required. That is major two things have been done in this particular reform. First one is devaluation of rupees. Devaluation of rupees is done by the government himself. Government itself introduced devaluation of rupees. For example, there is a rate $1 is equal to 60 rupees. That is the rate. Suppose that means if you are paying 60 rupees, then you can purchase $1. So this is so you need all international currencies for making payment of international transaction, because your currency is no more acceptable in the international transaction. So for the international transaction. So if you say devaluation of rupee, that means you are devaluing your rupees. You are saying that $1 is equal to rupees 90. That means government has devalued the rupee. Government has decreased the value of rupee. Like now you have to pay 90 rupees for purchasing $1. So you have to pay more. That is the devaluation of rupee. This particular thing, devaluation, is done by the government itself. Many times Chinese government also do that, because now you can see this thing from the other part also, from the rest of the world part also. Like $1 has been paid by the rest of the world and purchasing the goods of rupees 60. Now they have to pay $1 and they will purchase goods and services equal to rupees 90 in your country. So that is basically benefit for the rest of the world, not for you. So Chinese government always do that, so that it will be always easier for rest of the world to purchase goods and services from China. So that has been also blamed. You can say that cases have been there, that has been filed by many of the rest of the world countries, that Chinese government should not do this. So that is the devaluation of rupee. Many times Indian government also did devaluation of rupee in the economy. So that has been introduced in financial sector reform. Then market determination of exchange rate, that has been introduced. That exchange rate means the rate, that is the value of international currency in terms of domestic currency, means Indian currency. We are talking about India there. So government allowed a rupee value to be free from its control. That there is a fair market determination should be there, that depends upon the demand and supply of foreign exchange. So market forces of demand and supply, that has been introduced in financial exchange reform. This you will discuss in more detailed form in macroeconomics. Trade and investment policy reform, that is another reform. So trade and investment policy reform, what happened before 1991, lots of restriction for trade and investment policy like quota, tariff and all these things. So now and protection has been given to the domestic companies also, domestic industries also, which just led to slow growth, nothing else. More protection leads to more degradation कह सकते हो, और more low quality of the goods has been produced by these domestic companies. So now trade and investment policy reform, under this policy major 3 things have been done to increase the international competitiveness of industrial production, now to promote foreign investment and technology into economy, to promote efficiency of local industry. So the basic stress has been given to increase the competence of the domestic economy, so that they could produce goods as per the international standard and at reasonable price, so that they would be demanded by the rest of the world, and foreign exchange reserve can be increased, and India is to become the self-reliant country. For that, the effort has been put by the government in 1991 economic policy. So all these reforms have been introduced over there. Fine. These are the reforms which you are to learn. That's all for today.